Morning glory, evening grace, brother and sister. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here at Temperance Awakening as we read this really good book here, Tobacco and Your Mouth, the incredibly disgusting story by Mr. Adam Winters. And so there will be a couple of, a few pictures here in this book. I think they're more in the next one that we're going to be reading. But there'll be a few pictures here and we will show you those pictures. And also, I will be reading this whole book from beginning to end. It's only about, about 42 pages long, and the pages are, pretty sure not a lot of writing on the pages, as this is a youth-focused book, has pictures and things. But since though we'll be reading the whole book, kind of like in between some paragraphs and chapters and so forth, I'll be getting a drink of water to keep my throat well enough to read this. I'm going to read you first the contents. It has 6 chapters. The first one is Why Do Kids Smoke? The second one is Down in the Mouth. The third chapter, What Smoking Will Do to You, the inside story. The fourth chapter, What Smoking Will Do to You, the outside story. And then the fifth chapter, How to Not Start. And our sixth and final chapter is How to Stop. So how to stop smoking. And so chapter 1 here. Why do kids smoke? Another question. And a lot of weird things happened, and maybe still something weirder is going on, is the fact that kids have started smoking cigarettes in record numbers. Go figure. Although since the 1960s, the number of adult smokers has decreased big time, the United States boasts of 46 million quitters. In the 1990s, kids suddenly started smoking like chimneys. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, between 1991 and 1995 alone, the number of high school students who smoked increased from 1/4 to 1/3. Today, close to 4 million American adolescents smoke cigarettes. Each day, about 6,000 young people try their first cigarette, and more than 3,000 of these young people become regular smokers. That's more than 1 million new smokers a year. The really weird thing is that today's puffing pre- and post-pubescents have lived their entire lives in the shadow of scientific proof that smoking kills. The scary facts are these. Out of the 1 million kids who will take up smoking this year, approximately 1/3, or about 330,000, will die from diseases that are the direct result of their nasty habit. Sort of makes you think twice before taking that first puff. A lot of kids say they start smoking because it's the cool thing to do, as if lung cancer, heart attacks, and yellow teeth are cool. For some reason, kids think puffing on a cig makes them more grown up. Adulthood is all about breathlessness and clogged blood vessels. Some even take up smoking as a way to rebel against their parents, sure get back at mom and dad by knocking a few years off your life. Of course, a big reason many kids take their first puff is because they want to fit in. A lot of the kids at my school who smoke come from unhappy homes, says Alberto, 14. If fitting in means smoking, then that's what they'll do because smoking is hip and gives them a sense of belonging. And see, we see here this picture here about the body's coronary arteries. Smoking can cause coronary arteries to become blocked with plaque. This blockage can cause blood clots resulting in heart attack or stroke. You see our picture there about the arteries. Studies carried out by cigarette manufacturers report that between the ages of 11 and 13, most American kids experience peer pressure to smoke. By the time they're 14 or 15, the kids who did decide to take that first puff are usually serious smokers. Obviously, kids these days are no dummies. They know the dangers of smoking, but they usually think very wrongly that these risks won't apply to them. Why? Because I'm not going to get addicted? Wishful thinking. The nicotine in cigarettes is as addictive as cocaine and heroin. Everybody wants to fit in. It's pretty tough to be a non-smoker if all your buds are busy blowing smoke rings. And one cigarette now and then might not seem like a big deal, but the first cigarette usually leads to a second, and before you know it, you'll have smoked about 15,000 of them. Like this young lady thinks she can quit whenever she wants to, but we know that's not the truth. So now, how about that Marlboro Man? It might surprise you to know that 90% of all smokers begin lighting up long before the age of 18. It's rare for someone older than 21 to suddenly take up smoking. The big cigarette manufacturers know this. That's why they spend big bucks on advertising that tries to seduce would-be and could-be smokers. like the I Love Lucy stars here who were posing for Philip Morris. Get this. Every year, the big tobacco companies spend more than $6.2 billion on billboards and magazine ads that suggest how cool, glamorous, and healthy life can be with a pack of smokes. That's more than is spent advertising on any other product in the United States. Isn't any wonder that even among the 3 to 6-year-old crowd, the former cartoon mascot of Camel Cigarettes, Joe Camel, was better known than Mickey Mouse. So what? You say, I don't pay attention to ads, but are you really aware of just how often cigarette brand names and logos creep into every aspect of your day-to-day life? You wake up with your favorite radio station blaring a promotion for the Virginia Slims tennis tournament. Downstairs at breakfast, your cereal box, the Kellogg's Corn Flakes Winston Cup commemorative edition, has the cigarette brand name Winston plastered all over it. Then while waiting for the bus, you find yourself sitting next to a huge poster of the Marlboro Man. At school, your best bud shows you his new cool baseball cap. Of course, that's K-O-O-L. K-O-O-L, cool, the brand of cigarettes. At lunch, you go to the corner store to buy a chocolate bar. You can't even see inside the store because there's so many tobacco posters hanging in the windows. You pick up the latest edition of Rolling Stone. Not only is it filled with cigarette ads, but there are cool prizes to be won when you send in a few cigarette pack coupons and pretend to be 21. No biggie. After school, you race home to catch the end of the baseball game. You cheers the awesome home run sells over a big Marlboro sign. When your dad gets home, he takes you to the doctor for your annual checkup. In the waiting room, there are lots of magazines to read, all with cigarette ads on the back covers. On the way home, you and your dad stop by the drugstore to fill a prescription. In front of the cash register is a big display of Joe Camel sporting his funky shades. It's funny that while the pharmacist dispenses medicine that makes people well, addictive disease-causing cigarettes are being promoted and sold in the same store. With everything around you shooting off smoke signals, is it any wonder that you end up feeling that smoking is okay? So you just like here, you see inside a store all the tobacco ads and tobacco things. Ever wonder why the most popular cigarette brands with kids, Marlboro, Camel, and Newport, are the 3 that advertise the most? These companies aren't trying to win adult smokers. Studies show that adult smokers rarely change brands. They're trying to win over a whole new generation of young smokers, you. And because they know that cigarettes are addictive, they know that once they have you hooked, you're a goner. It's like, did you know that the Joe Camel cartoon character was introduced in order to get young smokers to buy Camel cigarettes? Think this scheme worked? Well, before Joe came along, fewer than 1% of kids purchased Camels. After he was introduced, more than 33% of kids were Camel smokers. And there's that old Joe Camel ad. Ever check out those black and white Hollywood movies from the 30s and 40s? Where everybody who was anybody was blowing smoke rings? Especially that Humphrey Bogart guy. Back then, smoking seemed glamorous. People were not aware of all of the health risk involved. Even today, it is common practice for tobacco manufacturers to pay to have their products appear in movies that appeal to kids. For example, Marlboro cigarettes co-starred in Risky Business and Crocodile Dundee. Camels made special guest appearances in Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And both Lucky Strikes and Kent shared screen space in Beverly Hills Cop. So that's all of our first chapter. Now we'll go on to chapter 2, Down in Your Mouth. If you're a smoker, do you ever feel down in the mouth? If so, it is not surprising. When you wedge that burning stick of poison between your lips and breathe in that toxic smoke, it is like sticking your mouth, yes, the same thing you used to eat, drink, talk, kiss, and spit with, against the exhaust pipe of a car and taking in a deep breath. If you want to find out what other pleasant things smoking will do to you in your mouth, let's read on. A big mistake many kids make when they begin smoking is thinking that it will take years and years before anything bad happens to them. Wrong. Even if you're just starting out, cigarettes can cause lung problems, smoker's cough, and shortness of breath. Smoking just one cig a day can be harmful. You know phlegm, that disgusting green stuff that gets caught in your throat and makes you cough like you're about to croak? That's caused by smoking. So are respiratory illnesses such as emphysema, pneumonia, and bronchitis, in which the air passages to and from your lungs become clogged with the dirty gunk that you inhale into your body when you smoke. Such diseases can cause shortness of breath and decreased energy. Over the years, they can get worse, making breathing extremely difficult. In some cases, they can even lead to death. Let's see, now we got a picture about bronchitis. This lung has been affected by influenzaal pneumonia. In a healthy lung, airways, the areas outlined in dark blue, are clear and open. Here they are clogged with cell debris. This tissue damage, often the result of smoking, can cause death. Right there. In the meantime, you're sure to be a big hit socially with the attractive wheezing, coughing, and hacking you will inevitably develop. So, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the best looking one of all? Certainly not a smoker. Smoking decreases blood flow to the small vessels in your skin. This can leave you looking pale and sickly. Think smoking will make you feel grown up? It will sure make you look like a grown-up, a very old and unhealthy looking grown-up. This is because smoking damages skin and causes wrinkles and premature aging. And we got another picture here about tobacco-stained fingers. The fingers and nails of smokers can become heavily stained with nicotine and tar. This discoloration is most noticeable on the inner sides of the index and middle fingers where the cigarette is typically held. That one right there. And if you're known around town for your charming smile, know that your days of flashing that magnetic grin are numbered. Smokers are much more likely than non-smokers to have their teeth rot and fall out. Even among teenagers, smoking can lead to gum disease and other mouth problems. See, here we have two pictures. The top is a smoker's teeth, the bottom a non-smoker's teeth. See, a smoker's teeth is all yellow, while the non-smoker's more white. Furthermore, yellow may be mellow, but not when the yellow in question is the color of your tobacco-stained teeth. Do you plan to seduce that hot boy or girl with a kiss if they aren't turned off already by your brown teeth? Do you think you'll thrill them with your stinky butt breath? Smoking also affects the way you smell. Cigarette smoke is like that clingy kid in your geography class who won't leave you alone. No matter how nicely you try to brush him or her off, smoke loves to seep into your hair and wrap itself up in your clothes until you reek like an industrial waste dump. Don't be surprised if people steer clear of you or wrinkle their noses as you pass. And lucky you, all of this and more can be yours if you just keep on lighting up, inviting, isn't it? So now looking at breathing lessons. Respiration is breathing. Your body's respiratory system is made up of the organs that allow you to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. By now you've probably figured out that if you can't breathe, you die. When you breathe in or inhale, air enters through your nose and mouth and then travels down into your lungs. It is here that oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide, which then must exit your body. Oxygen travels through your blood, which distributes it to the rest of your body cells. Once it reaches the cells, it is converted into energy. What helps get things moving is your heart, which, like a powerful pump, makes the oxygenated blood move through your body and into your lungs. See, like a picture there. Mr. Stinky. See, and the other one here is about the respiratory system. Shows us the nasal cavity, oral cavity, trachea, larynx, right lung, left bronchus, right bronchus, and the diaphragm. Of course, this system starts breaking down when you start smoking. Oxygen polluted by cigarette smoke messes up the entire system. It thickens your blood and clogs up your lungs and forces your heart to pump much harder than it ordinarily would and should have to. Let's see, and looking at pneumonia and asthma. Asthma, anyone? Still not grossed out enough? If you still want to smoke, you should know that smokers are much more likely to catch respiratory infections, such as pneumonia and the flu. Smoking weakens your body's immune systems and natural defenses against it. See, smoking weakens the respiratory system, making smokers far more likely to catch diseases such as pneumonia. Pneumonia causes acute severe inflammation of the lung tissue. Left untreated, it can be fatal. And see here, you see all the purple here, which is pneumonia on a person's arteries. So now chapter 3, what smoking will do to you, the inside story. You're no dummy. This isn't the first time you've heard that smoking is bad for you, but do you actually know how bad it is? Did you know that smoke contains more than 4,000 chemicals? See, look, take a picture of carbon monoxide, the highly toxic gas that an automobile emits through its exhaust system, is also present in cigarette smoke and in the lungs of smokers. Picture right there. Aside from nicotine, there's carbon monoxide, the stuff that cars spit from exhaust pipes, formaldehyde, the liquid in which your biology teacher keeps in dissected frog bodies, ammonia, which is used in window cleaning products, arsenic, which is rat poison, and nickel, 5-cent coins. And don't forget that more than 40 of these chemicals are surefire cancer-causing agents. Did you know that over 400,000 Americans and 40,000 Canadians die each year from smoking-related diseases? That's more than from AIDS, alcohol, car accidents, fires, illegal drugs, murders, and suicides combined. And see, there's that poison called nicotine. Nicotine is the chemical in tobacco that makes smoking so addictive. Nicotine is the reason 7 out of 10 adolescent smokers can't stop smoking even though they wish they could. Not only is nicotine highly addictive, it is also poisonous. After cigarettes, its main use is as an insecticide. An injection of a single drop, 70 milligrams of nicotine, can kill an average-sized man. A cigarette contains much less nicotine, between 0.1 and 2.2 milligrams. Although such a small amount won't cause you to kill over on the spot, it'll make your heart beat faster and can cause your hands to shake. Heard enough, you should also know that nicotine is both a stimulant and a depressant. This means that smoking can leave you hyper and bummed out at the same time. So now looking at cancer. Smoking is responsible for 30% of all cancer deaths. It has been scientifically proven that smoking causes cancer of the mouth, pharynx, larynx, esophagus, pancreas, kidney, bladder, cervix, and large intestines. Nice list, huh? See, this picture here is lung cancer. Cancer of the bronchus, the most common form of lung cancer. This type of cancer often occurs near the trachea or windpipe, where there is a heavy accumulation of carcinogenic tars from cigarette smoke. Of course, smoking's biggest claim to fame is as a major cause of lung cancer. More than 8 out of every 10 cases of lung cancer are caused by smoking. There's no cure for lung cancer. 9 out of 10 lung cancer victims die within 5 years of diagnosis. And look at genetic defects. Recently, scientists compared the semen of 2 groups of 18-year-old guys. One group smoked and had been doing so for at least 2 years. The other didn't. They discovered that the smokers had many more abnormally shaped sperm and sperm with genetic defects, all of which can put an end to future dreams of daddyhood. So now we have another picture. The cancerous lesion in the mouth is the result of persistent smoking over many years. The surgery to correct it will leave this person permanently disfigured. See that one right there? And smoking is a major cause of heart disease, heart attacks, and strokes. Even if you're young and physically fit, smoking can reduce the ability of your blood to carry oxygen through your body. This in turn forces your heart to work harder than it should. Want a winning strategy for losing that important race or game? Just take a few pre-game puffs. It's a known fact that young athletes who smoke have a lower physical endurance and lower aerobic performance than those who don't. Matters of the heart aside, smoking also contributes to blood vessel disease, stomach ulcers, chronic bowel disease, and osteoporosis, which makes your bones, even your young bones, weak and crackable. Did you know that every cigarette you smoke knocks 12 minutes off of your life? So we have a picture here of a cancerous tumor on the tongue. A removal of this cancerous tumor on the tongue will probably leave this person with a permanent speech impairment. Now we look at Chapter 4, What Smoking Will Do to You, the outside story. If you think that the effects of smoking are internal and invisible, think again. Smoking affects those around you too. Despite all the movies, magazines, music videos, and billboards that make smoking seem cool in real life, smoking is seen as dirty, dumb, and disgusting. After all, despite all the hype, 3/4 of the population does not smoke. Nobody wants to be around a smoker. Just look at the laws that ban smoking on trains, planes, buses, and taxis, in schools, restaurants, office buildings, stores, malls, museums, theaters, and public places throughout the United States and Canada. Contrary to what you might believe, even most kids your age think smoking stinks. In a recent survey conducted by the CDC, 67% of American teens claimed that seeing someone smoke turned them off. 86% said they would rather date non-smokers than smokers, and 65% declared that they strongly dislike being around smokers. And now looking at secondhand smoke. Aside from the fact that smoking looks unattractive and smells bad, kids don't want to hang out with smokers because of secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke is the combination of poisonous gases and fumes that gets blown in your face every time someone close to you lights up, takes a drag, and exhales into what was once clean air. Even a lit cigarette in an ashtray can produce serious secondhand smoke. Next time somebody around you lights up, you might consider firing off one or more of the following facts. In a crowded restaurant, secondhand smoke can produce 6 times the pollution of a busy highway. Each year, 3,000 innocent people die of lung cancer because of secondhand smoke. Each year, secondhand smoke causes 300,000 lung infections, such as pneumonia and bronchitis in infants and young kids. Secondhand smoke causes wheezing, coughing, colds, earaches, and asthma attacks. It also causes your eyes to sing, itch, and tear. Secondhand smoke wrecks the smell and taste of your food and makes your clothes and hair stink. Because most non-smoking North Americans generally spend up to 80% of their time indoors, they're exposed to secondhand smoke most of the time. It's estimated that close to 70% of non-smokers regularly inhale secondhand smoke either at home or at work. And the thing about secondhand smoke is that many of the worst poisons given off by a lit cigarette, such as carbon monoxide, are invisible. Since smoking poisons the environment and causes a lot of tragedies, many of the poisonous fumes given off by tobacco smoke are the same as those given off at toxic waste dumps. In fact, still burning butts are the major cause of forest fires that devastate woods, destroy precious natural habitats, and kill wild animals. Each year, thousands of fires are caused by cigarettes that aren't properly put out. Then there are the famous and frequent cases of people who doze off with a lit cigarette in their mouth. If they're lucky enough to wake up, they find they have burned up their homes, not to mention their family members, neighbors, and pets. The sad fact is that carelessness with cigarettes is the leading cause of death by fire in American homes. According to the National Fire Protection Association, there are 250,000 of these fires every year. Nearly 2,000 people needlessly lose their lives, and then there are the victims that end up permanently burned and scarred. Did you know that after an 8-hour shift, a non-smoking waiter or waitress in a smoky restaurant will have breathed in the equivalent and secondhand smoke of 36 cigarettes? And there's a home that was burned by a cigarette that was left lit. Now we go into Chapter 5, How to Not Start. So Brandon, a 14-year-old, said, "I never planned to become a smoker. I tried my first cigarette when I was 9. Then I would bum a smoke from time to time from my friends or take a couple of cigarettes from the packs my mom left around the house. My mom was a smoker and I had friends who were smokers, but I never considered myself to be a smoker until I tried to quit and couldn't. That was 3 years ago. I'm still smoking and I wish so much that instead of going through all the hassle of trying to quit, I never started in the first place." When asked what got them smoking in the first place, most kids can't even come up with a good answer. "It's something to do," says 13-year-old Merton, who spends most of his allowance on cigarettes. "I don't know," admits Juan, 14, who smokes a pack and a half a day. "All of my friends smoke," confesses 12-year-old Julia, who sneaks out of her house at night to smoke in the backyard. Asked if they could or would quit, Merton, Juan, and Julia all said yes, only not quite yet. A recent study by the University of Michigan found that more than half of high school seniors who smoked at least half a pack a day had tried to quit and failed. Many had tried and failed over and over again. The problem is that most kids think that the harmful health effects of smoking occur only later on in life. But the reality is that problems begin almost as soon as you get started smoking. Most research shows that the majority of smokers become addicted while they're still teenagers. Although the more serious and deadly health effects of smoking shows up years later, many of these diseases begin to develop when the smoker is still very young, and the younger the smoker, the greater the risk. Supermodel Christy Turlington used to smoke like a barbecue, but after the death of her father due to smoking-related causes, she tried acupuncture, a nicotine patch, and hypnosis before finally quitting through sheer willpower. Christy thinks that the biggest mistake teens make about smoking is thinking that they can quit before it becomes dangerous. It is better not to even try it than to endure the ramifications of either quitting or dying, she says. Although she knows models who smoke, Christy agrees with medical experts who say that smoking is a lousy method for staying slim. Forget about all those myths that the minute you give up smoking, you'll gain major pounds. Many people experience no difference in weight after quitting, and those who do gain only an average of 5 pounds, which can be easily shed by taking up some of the athletic activities that all that hacking got in the way of. So what about ladies and smoking? We have a portrait of a lady. Too bad that while proving that they can do anything men can do, North American women have tried to prove that they can smoke, wheeze, and die of cancer too. More than 22 million women over the age of 18 and close to 2 million adolescent girls are regular cigarette smokers. That's close to a quarter of all females in the United States. Young girls seem particularly eager to start puffing regularly. Between 1991 and 1997, daily smoking rates among female high school seniors rose from 17.9% to 23.6%. One of the not-so-happy results of this phenomenon over the last 30 years has been a 400% increase in the number of women who die from lung cancer. In 1998, lung cancer killed 67,000 women. And there are plenty of other not-so-happy results to make a girl think twice before lighting up. Smoking can damage your reproductive system and reduce your chances of having a baby. Women who do manage to get pregnant continue to smoke, but themselves and their developing baby at risk. These risks include difficult pregnancy, premature death, low birth weight, and stillborn babies. And now know that one drug can lead to another. The evidence is in staying away from cigarettes is a good way to steer clear of other addictive drugs. Statistically speaking, teens who smoke are 3 times as likely as non-smokers to use alcohol, 8 times as likely to use marijuana, and 22 times likely as to use cocaine. There are 3 major reasons why one drug leads to the others. Number 1, nicotine produces changes in your nervous system that are similar to those produced by cocaine and heroin. Secondly, if you're used to inhaling cigarette smoke, you'll be more open to other inhalable drugs. And number 3, because tobacco can alter your mood and behavior, it can make you more likely to use alcohol and drugs for the same reasons. And now looking at light cigarettes. Smoking light is not so bright. If you think that smoking light, super light, or ultralight cigarettes is going to keep danger at bay, you're hopelessly in the dark. These cigarettes may have less tar and nicotine than regular smokes, but light smokers usually end up smoking more, taking more puffs, inhaling more deeply, and smoking more of the cigarette. In the end, the effect can be pretty much the same, damaging. If you're trying to stay healthy instead of smoking light, don't smoke at all. And now here are some startlingly sad stats. Adults don't start smoking, kids do. 90% of tobacco users get hooked before age 19, 60% before age 14. In the next 24 hours, 1,180 Americans will die from tobacco use. Each year, 430,700 smokers die from tobacco use. That's 1/5 of all Americans who die each year. If you're 15 and you smoke, you're twice as likely to die before the age of 70 than a 15-year-old smoker. That is, than a 15-year-old non-smoker. Smoking can knock an average of 15 years off of your life. More than 200 million children living in the world today will be killed by tobacco. 70% of those deaths will be in third world countries. And now looking at our last chapter, Chapter 6, How to Stop. You've probably heard about how bad it is to be a quitter. Well, when it comes to smoking, you can chuck that rule right out the window. There's nothing quite like the healthy and happy sensation of being a true quitter. The bad news about budding out is that it might be rough going. The good news is that the payoffs are almost immediate. Almost right away, your sense of smell and taste will come back. Your stinky breath will disappear, all that coughing and disgusting phlegm will evaporate. You will also notice that you get sick less often. You'll be able to run, walk, skip, jump, gallop, trot, and exercise much faster and for much longer than before. You'll sleep better at night and have much more energy during the day. You'll feel less stressed out, your skin will regain its radiant glow, and your hair will redevelop its glossy shine. Not having to fork out all of that dough on smokes is a sure way to increase your collectibles, expand your wardrobe, or fill your bookshelves. A pack-a-day smoker who pays over $3 per pack can expect to save more than $1,000 a year. And since the price of cigarettes will most certainly continue to go up and up in coming years, so will the financial rewards of quitting. You might want to develop a quitting plan for your future smoke-free lifestyle. You can start by setting a date for quitting. If possible, have a good friend or a family member quit smoking with you. Misery loves company. Notice when and why you smoke. Is a cigarette the first thing you reach for when you wake up in the morning? If so, hide your smokes on a very high shelf. Do you always smoke while studying? Try exchanging a cigarette for a carrot or a piece of sugarless gum. Although part of your addiction is biological, your body craves nicotine. It is also partly psychological in that it has become a daily habit in your life. When you feel the nicotine urge coming on, wait a few minutes, then wait a few more. Try to think of something else to do instead of smoking. Buy some gum and practice blowing bubbles. Go for a run around the block. Suck a preferably sugarless all-day lollipop. Stand on your head. Buy only one pack of cigarettes at a time. Switch to a brand that you don't like. Did you know that approximately 23 million American kids under the age of 19 consume 947 million packs of cigarettes every year? So now it's quitting time. Okay, take a deep breath and exhale. Isn't that cool? No smoke is coming out of your mouth. Trash all your cigarettes. Get rid of your ashtrays too. While you're at it, get rid of your matches, lighters, and any other smoke-related objects. Change your routine. If you used to smoke out on the front porch before leaving for school, go straight from the kitchen, out the back door, side door, and onto the sidewalk. If you used to smoke at lunchtime with the South Doors gang at the South Doors, spend your lunch hour yakking in the non-smoking cafeteria or blading around the nearby park. It might be better to hang out with your former smoking buddies in a non-smoking situation so that you're not tempted by peer pressure to take a puff. When you're alone, try to keep busy and active. When you feel a cigarette craving coming on, do something else, fast. Or you can try to slow things down. Take a few deep breaths, close your eyes, and think of your favorite place or dream vacation spot. At the end of the day, give yourself a reward for not smoking. Check out a flick, read a good book, or chat with a friend. Once a quitter, always a quitter. Tougher than being a quitter is staying a quitter. A good idea is to spread the word that you're a quitter. That way it's official and you'll get a lot of support from those around you. At the same time, stay clear of temptation. This means not hanging out with people or in places where you're going to get the urge. And at first you'll be tempted. You'll also be cranky, irritable, and more tired than usual. These sensations will pass, however. Concentrate on doing healthy things that will combine well with the new healthy you. Take up a sport. Try karate. Swimming is an especially good idea. Not only will it relax you, but it's next to impossible to light up in the water. When you get tense or stressed, don't think about cigarettes. Even if you do, fast forward to another thought. Tell yourself that smoking won't make your problems any easier. Then try to think of something else that'll make you feel better. A hot bath, a bowl full of popcorn, deep breathing. It's important that quitters not only exercise, but they also eat well. If in a moment of weakness you light up, don't despair. Jump right back on the quitter's bandwagon. Keep in mind that most former smokers try to stop several times before they finally succeed. If you're having a tough time of it on your own, know that there are literally hundreds of resources available, such as your family physician or community health center. There are also hotlines, counseling groups, websites, and youth programs, all especially geared to kids who want to butt out of smoking. One final cool thing about quitting, if you start a money jar and fill it with the bucks you save by not buying cigarettes, you might end up with a fortune. So choose life. And thanks for being with us here as we have read this whole book, Tobacco in Your Mouth, The Incredibly Disgusting Story by Adam Winters. And this is published by Rosen Publishing. Yeah, the Rosen Publishing Group's Rosen Central, which is out of New York. And so thanks for being with us, and if you are a smoker having trouble quitting, that's what we're here for. Our email address is there. Reach out to Temperature Awakening and try our program to help quit smoking, as it'll certainly be a help and a blessing to you, we do believe. And so thank you so much for being with us as we've read Tobacco in Your Mouth, The Incredibly Disgusting Story by Adam Winters. And as we said, reach out to us if we can help in any way. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time. Until the break and the shadows flee away, I'm Dr. Coop, and I love you, and I appreciate you.